Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Aspen Bridge. This is week 2 of Thomas Edison, and we have such a phenomenal experience going on here because the mission of the Aspen Bridge is one, to help you understand that you have gifts like Thomas Edison, gifts that are hidden by what society perceives as bad or wrong, but you have gifts, and I want you all to see your gifts and not see your challenges. Don't stay in the side of the bridge with the stuck and the shamed and the comparison, as we were just talking about a few moments ago. Know that you have the ability to go forward. Come to me, go with my friends and I, with my guests, my life coaches who are your bridge builders, to go across the bridge and know that you belong there. Know that you are welcome there. I know there are going to be some people that do not understand. That's not for you. That's their problem. That's not your problem. But before we go there and introduce our new guest, along with Kathy, who is returning today, with all the awesome autistic individuals that are out in the world, such as Paul Micallef and Orion Kelly in Australia, telling you what the traits of autism are. We have Samantha Stein in the Netherlands, Sarah Hendricks in the UK, Temple Grandin here in the US, so many other wonderful autistic level 1 or late diagnosis, many of us are calling ourselves, because we don't like the dividing line between who's level 1, level 2, and level 3 of autism. We want to say that we are the special group of late diagnosed individuals, which means that diagnosis, like Thomas Edison, was not known when we were children. It wasn't understood. We were considered maybe confused or mentally ill, as Thomas Edison was considered that he was mentally ill and slow. Addled was the word they used for him. But we're not that. We're not that group of people that are challenged in any level of autism, have their gifts. They communicate in a different way, but they still have wonderful gifts. We are united. We are united. And as I was saying a few moments ago off screen, if there was such a thing as us, them, neurotypical or neurodiverse, there would be no beautiful bridge behind me. It would be a big open gully of water and a dividing line. But there is a bridge, and I am your torchbearer. And yes, I have experienced a lot of what you've experienced, so I know what your pains are. But I also know that you have the capability, as I did with these two beautiful ladies, to go over the bridge into society and have the experiences that really fill your heart. Let me tell you, that trip that we all took to Dearborn, Michigan was phenomenal. It really opened my eyes to what I could do, and that's what I want to help you with. So if you remember, Kathy, say hello, Kathy. Kathy has returned with us, and this week I'd like to introduce my new bridge builder, Denise Fuchs. We've known each other for a couple of years. Denise, go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit to us, please.
Hi, everybody. So my name is Denise Fuchs, and like Suzanne, I'm a transformational life coach, and we met through the Brave Thinking Institute. Amazing, just an amazing training and just an amazing institute. And yeah, we met there, and I came in. I've been a nurse for a really long time, so just love helping people. Thanks, Suzanne.
Wonderful. Wonderful. As I wrote in my preview on the Aspen Bridge Facebook page, the three of us see this world as united, as I talked about a few moments ago. There is a bridge. There's a reason that there's a bridge here for us to all go over it together and meet wonderful people on the other side. We're not here to fix you. All my guests are not here to fix you. We're here to help you solve a problem, whether it be emotional, medical, or any other way that you need to have a problem solved in your life. We're all here together to link arms and go over there together. These are two wonderful ladies who have helped me go over the bridge. And I had a phenomenal week at this trip that we went on together back in October 2021. So let me talk about the mission of the Asprey Bridge. We started out last week with Thomas Edison and who he was. Now, so many of you know who Thomas Edison was, the creator of the light bulb. What many people don't know is that he got a bumpy start in life. His life didn't start out with him being a little boy with inventions. He started out going to school like everyone else did. Going to school, being the best possible person he could be. But he had to live up to a set of standards that were not what he was able to do. Or I should say, what the teacher felt he was able to do. He came home from school with a note for his mother. And I'd like to play a short video with sound this week so that you can see where Thomas Edison started. And I think it's so important because I think you need to see that we all start in the same location. It's the way that people perceive us that may bother you, not the way you perceive yourself, but the way people perceive you. Let me play this short video and then we will go from there.
Thomas, why are you not in school? Your son is a genius. This school is too small for him and doesn't have enough good teachers for training him. Please teach him yourself. I'm going to have your read to me today. So here you go. Remember where we left off? I think we were here. So start from there.
Miss Edison, your son is adult. He is mentally slow and unable to think clearly. We won't let him come to school anymore. Sincerely, Headmaster as well.
Wow, doesn't that say everything? I mean, can you imagine yourself in Thomas Edison's place when he was a little boy, thinking he was in trouble, thinking that there was something wrong with him? That's what a lot of my guests, my listeners are thinking themselves. What's wrong with me? Why am I in trouble? You're not in trouble. You're really not in trouble. And I want to say, look at the way that his mother Yes, it was a little bit of a white lie. It was a big white lie. But I think sometimes in this situation, a white lie was the best thing that young Thomas Edison, ever received. What do you ladies think about this white lie? Would you have done it for your children?
I would hope that I would have the wisdom to. She was a very wise woman. And in that moment, we talk about often being led or following intuition or something. She paused. And the first thing she said was, he is a genius. And she took what was, you know, what we do sometimes is we label and identify with labels way too much. And what she did was give him the right label. So if you're going to be labeled, don't be labeled by limiters. Be labeled by possibility. And his mother said, he's a genius. She was right. Because all of us come out of the womb geniuses, using all these modalities to learn and everything like that. And yet some of that gets taught out of us or perverted or changed or whatever through the course of our experience. And if we identify with just the limiting labels, we won't explore the genius part of us, the talented and gifted part of us that brings so much good to our world. So I have to say that she was inspired to say that. And I would hope that if I was in a similar situation, that I would be inspired to speak life into that situation.
I agree. What about you, Denise? What do you take from that little movie that says so much about Thomas Edison's potential as seen through his
So,
mother?
I love how Kathy put it about, having the wisdom when reading that, at the same time, right? So being able to think quick on your feet is pretty amazing. And a couple of things come to mind. So the story about Les Brown, that he was educable, mentally retarded, and that's how he was labeled, and that's what he said until one teacher one day said, go to the board. And this amazing teacher said, don't let anybody say that to you again and put their limitations on you. And then he found a mentor. I don't know if that was the mentor, but anyway, he found a mentor and he wanted to be a talk show host or a DJ, and look what happened. With just having the encouragement and flipping the script, and also like hard work, being hungry, as he would say, to become that. It just wasn't, oh, he just switched a switch, but that it opened up a whole new door for him to absolutely explore, as opposed to being on the spectrum, what it would have been had he just kept that label of mentally retarded. And the other thing that comes to me, and I don't know the person's name, but I was watching a story about um, educating, children that whatever, they have some learning, I'll say learning disabilities, and being not being able to, let's say, catch up with the bell curve, like with the majority of the class. And this gentleman would take them, and he said one of the biggest things that he found after he researched and after what helped them the most was that they had a self-esteem limiting belief, right? So, well, I'm one of the dumb kids, or I can't do it, or whatever, right? So they would not try. And of course, they were being compared to the other children, right? It wasn't that they couldn't do it, it just that they couldn't do it maybe as fast as the rest of the class, right? So they were being pushed aside. And he said, but he took them, and now I'm remembering, and of course I don't know the man's name, but he took them and he actually would have talks with them. What are you good at? What do you love to do? Are you good at basketball, or are you good at, it may not be just studies or math. And he would, encourage, okay, let's say it's basketball. really have the parents and really like, have him grow into what he or she loved, and really then beginning to see the self-esteem grow because they're excelling in basketball, and then to take that back to the classroom. But I don't know the man's name, but I love how that he said that it was a self-esteem issue.
Oh, definitely. It reminds me of another story I'd heard about a bunch of children in a school system, and the teachers were told that this group of children, which was not the case, truly, this group of children are your gifted children. They actually were the children that needed the most help, but they were the gifted children. And so, and then this group of children, they were all mixed together. And so the teachers didn't know the truth about which children were gifted and which ones were not, based on the societal standards and the standardized tests. So what ended up happening is the teacher who received the children who were not actually gifted, but they were told they were gifted, were praised and told how wonderful things about themselves. And the children who were not considered gifted, even though they were actually given love and care. So in the end, all the children measured up to be pretty much in the same area, because as Kathy was telling us last week, or I think it was the story, I think it was actually Lauren who told me on a podcast, there are 3 groups. If you give a container of rice in 3 different containers, one container of rice, you speak loving words to it. Let's call that the gifted children. And you speak loving words to them, they're going to flourish. And if you're the type of teacher that can actually speak and care and love into the container that was either not doing anything or acting badly, but you still treat them with care, they're going to flourish as well. So I think I kind of feel badly for the school system that didn't have the awareness we were talking about to understand the different levels of children. Expected children to fit into one little container, one little piece of, well, if you're not like this child, you must be mentally ill. How sad that can be to have a child be sent home believing that he's bad,
Right.
believing that he's no good, when the teacher could have easily have found a way. And we are evolving humans, granted. Back from the time when Thomas Edison was growing up, we have advanced a long way from then, but still humankind should know better, to know that we don't penalize a child for being different. And that's what I think a lot of my listeners grew up with, whether it be from the school system or from the home. A lot of children were told, because you don't measure up to your brother's time he started walking, you must not be as good as he is. And what a way to raise a child. And I think that's what goes into me wanting to say, not only did Thomas Edison grow up with the belief that he was genius and carried that, think of his mother. She could have just said, hey, I guess I'm stuck training you at home. I'm stuck believing what I did. I'm stuck thinking that you're just not going anywhere. What would that have done to poor Thomas? I think we'd still all be in the dark, literally.
Literally. Yes, yes.
Yeah, go ahead, Kathy.
We spoke about it last week too, and you just said it. It's, we are evolving and we're slow to evolve. It's like it takes 11 miles to turn a huge ship, one of those big ships. It's a slow process. And so that's why, I spoke to how we process our experience and the people in our experience. And the two things that rise up to me that to come into harmony with each other and to be able to walk across this bridge back and forth. Well, let me experience your world. Well, let me show you what's on my world. If we can come to a place and understand that, the label that says we're neurodivergent and the neurotypical is really taking out of the equation that we're all human and we all have experiences, positives and negatives. How we process them is different. And that coming to a place of understanding that the human experience is extremely difficult. And I'm not minimizing anyone's experience at all. But as a neurodivergent, labeled person and a person who's been horribly abused or had such a horrendous beginning also, what about the fact that we just all have had a hard time in different ways? And if we come with empathy and that we weren't all raised in the model home, we didn't have Nancy Edison. My mom died when I was 14. My dad died when I was 11 months old. I had no one, basically. I was kind of orphaned. So we all have our traumas and our tragedies and our differences and our experiences. And I don't want to minimize any one of them, but I want to come to a place where that bridge is, we can go both sides. We can come by and see the beauty on this side of the river. We can go over here and see the beauty on that side of the river and see where we're really more alike than different. That would be beautiful. That would be really beautiful in my eyes.
Yeah, no, I agree. I want to let Denise speak on her thoughts on this, and then you brought a beautiful idea to me, Kathy, but let Denise add in what her thoughts are.
So, since doing this work, you know how people used to say, oh, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. And this is just the way I am, whatever it is, I don't know, gossipy or unmotivated, whatever. So overweight, whatever, a million things. This is just the way I am, whatever. I'm not changing. And learning this type of work, learning being in these studies, the brain, how we can, it's constantly taking information and it's constantly making matter. And I love, the story, there's so many, right? But I love the story about Napoleon Hill, where, he was a starving journalist and he meets Andrew Carnegie. And Andrew Carnegie says, I want you to make a journal and I'm going to introduce you to all these wealthy people, but I'm not going to give you any money. I want you to study them for, I think, 20 years and write this book. And he gives them the first assignment, look in the mirror every day, Napoleon, I don't know, 3 times, 5 times, whatever a day, and say, Andrew Carnegie, I not only will match your achievements, but meet you up at the post and pass you at the grandstand. And it's a horse analogy, right? That Andrew Carnegie made so much money and helped so many people, but Napoleon is going to, meet at the post and make even more. And at first, Napoleon thought he was a fraud and he was whispering it. I believe he was living with a brother and he just felt like, really like, you're the richest man. And yet Andrew said, keep doing it until you believe it. And Napoleon listened. And then 3 or 4 weeks, he's walking down the street. He continued to put those informations and put it into his subconscious. And a thought dropped in, well, it could happen. And he starts like looking around. And how did he change, right? So Andrew Carnegie made, I don't know, I'm going to say hundreds of millionaires by teaching, but Napoleon, the Think and Grow Rich book, we can't even count how many millionaires, and it continues that is one of the most famous books. So how did he do that? He took that affirmation, he kept putting new affirmations. The subconscious will accept everything that you put in.
Absolutely. The power of suggestion, just like Nancy Edison did to Thomas. Just the fact that she said to him, you're a genius. The school can't handle you because you're so beyond what they ever knew. You're so beyond what they can teach you. I mean, that power of suggestion in that young boy's mind was like, oh, okay, cool. Now, that didn't mean that Thomas didn't have the challenges that came from school and the belief system that came there, but how fast his mother became his rocket booster. Before I go there, I want to touch on one point that Kathy was talking about with this bridge. Every one of us is made for a reason. We all have purposes. We all have missions. Yes, we have gifts. We also have challenges. But the reason I never do, or not, I'm going to take out that word never. The reason I hardly will do this, or I'm not willing to do this podcast by myself, is it is a partnership. It is a way for us to say, this is what I can offer, but I would love what you can offer. And you share ideas, you share abilities. Wouldn't that make a better place to be when we can meet on this bridge and say, I can teach you this, but I need to learn that from you.
Right.
Now it becomes a connection, just as it's meant to be. I wasn't just looking for a picture when I put this background behind me. The idea of a bridge builder is to show you that we all have gifts. We all have levels of expertise. We all have a place where we can offer the world something unique that nobody else can. Our thumbprint is very unique. Our gifts are very unique. There are a lot of other autistic coaches out there that I told you about at the beginning. But I don't think anyone has my voice because nobody has the same experiences. Others may have had a Nancy Edison in their life and they're going. Others may not have. And I think it comes down to not just Thomas taking off to become an inventor. It required him to be teamed up with his mother, who believed in him. Who would like to tell the story of the rocket booster?
Well, the space shuttle, to get out of the gravitational pull, you've probably seen it and you probably know more about it than I do. But the fact of the matter is the space shuttle has a huge booster rocket attached to it that it has to have that added fuel to get it through the gravitational pull of the Earth, or it'll never get into the orbit of space. And so, yeah, that's exactly right. We're here to be your booster rocket. That's our heart's desire, because we value the treasure that you bring, the talent, the gifting. We value that. We value your insight, your way of thinking, because it's a different perspective. And I don't always have to agree. I don't even have to understand, but I can sit and think, maybe I could glean something from this, and vice versa. So, for us as a collective, as a planet, let's just, see ourselves as a contributing force of being the booster rocket for many people. But we also have to have people in our life that are going to take us to the destination, and that's the best version of ourselves. And that doesn't come by separating us with, that us and them, and all those labels. Like I said, we need to create labels that are expansive and celebrating who we are, not creating those things. That would be just like the booster rocket falling off before you got to the gravitational, breaking through that gravitational pull. You're going to fall back to Earth without that kind of attitude and people around you with the same kind of attitude. It's not what happens to us, it's what we think about what happens to us that really matters.
Definitely. I mean, I think in this case, Nancy Edison was Thomas's rocket booster. Mm-hmm. Because while Thomas Edison did show signs of being hyper-focused, as we talked about last week, did have a curiosity, without his mom champion for him, he might have taken off. But without support, if his mother had just crossed his arms and said, "What are you doing now? What are you up to now?" But she never did that. She let him explore to his heart's delight. She let him invent what came into his mind. And it's phenomenal. I think it's such a message to all individuals who think that they're stuck in the neurodivergent autistic body that they have, that they're not going anywhere. I'm guilty. Guilty as charged. I've been there too. I've had some moments lately when my rocket boosters didn't want to show up either. And guess what? When you don't have a rocket booster in your family that wants to show up because their awareness, their level of awareness isn't there yet, that doesn't mean you're stuck. It means go out and find another rocket booster. Go out and find others that can become your rocket booster. Yes, you may have to ask. Yes, they're not going to give it to you for free. You do need to, they're not going to just hand it to you. You do need to do your part. And I think that's an important thing. And I think that's where I'm headed with this and with my whole podcast. Everyone needs a Nancy Edison, whether you grew up with it from the very first day of having a Nancy Edison who believed in your soul, believed in your ability, didn't let societies tell you what to think about your child. Isn't that kind of a silly thought when someone will let society tell them about their child, or let their child tell them about themselves and then have the family say, no, that's not you. We know you better. Isn't that sad? But Nancy Edison didn't do that. She said, whoa, that's your opinion. I believe my son is a genius. What else would you like to add to this? Denise, would you like to add into this at all? I shouldn't say it all.
Something just came to me about, studies of, again, like labels and, them becoming, like you're imprisoned, so, well, I have, whatever, I have mental retardation or whatever it is, right? And that story of Les Brown and how many other people are, like Les Brown, that they were diagnosed, or if it was depression, or many times some of these things are not forever. And at the same time, I think it was Joe Dispenza that he talks about, like, some of us will look at our circumstances and we'll create an identity around it. Like we'll say, I don't know, we'll say we're depressed, right? Like we got divorced and it was a tough situation, so we're depressed. And then he said, if we're not careful, and I'm paraphrasing, it's not his exact words, but if we're not careful, we then become we're depressed. And the more we say it to ourselves, or we get reinforced by the doctor, or if we need medicine or whatever, we've now created an identity that we're depressed and we need medicine for the rest of our life. And so I believe, like, just like there's labels, and I'm not saying that people should not try, right? If we have medicine, if we have therapies and things like that, but I love, the story. There's so many, but like the Mary Morrissey story where she had kidney disease and she was supposed to die in 6 months, and she was self-loathing being a teenage pregnant person, teenage girl in the 60s, and having to lose her whole student body and go to a school at night where she wouldn't even drive. She wasn't allowed to go. So like a rough side of town, and being taken out of her student body of being, she was, I think, the class president of her class, and just completely all the girlfriends, like everybody she stopped that was uplifting her, and her mother cried and she was feeling such shame and guilt, and I shamed everybody. I'm being punished by God. and she goes to this school and she has delinquent boys and pregnant girls or girls that just had babies. So that's her new student body. And even a woman who was smart and who had everything going, even at that level, right? Being, I'm worthless. And then being in kidney. And then when that woman came in, she didn't look like a chaplain. She said, "What's going on?" And Mary told her, and she's like, "Well, could you believe that your thoughts?" And Mary's like, "Are causing the kidney disease." No, like nobody talks like that. Like I care the MD that I'm gonna die. Like I'm sad, but who talks about that? No, there was no mind or body at that time in the 60s. And the fact that that woman told her, "Out with the one kidney tomorrow. What images do you want? I want to bring my little boy to kindergarten, so then she'd have to live 5 years, and then I want to be a teacher." And she had her other image was her son go to graduate high school and then be the proud mom of her son getting married. So how many years, right? If he's 25, like, so putting her 25 years living from, they told her 6 months, and she went home and did it. And she, every time she had that self-loathing, notice what you're noticing. Nope, I have little John and my click click with my heels. And 6 months she went to the doctor, and one kidney was removed. Like the other kidney is really good, like medical anomaly. Like we have no idea, but continue doing what you're doing, focusing whatever she told him. And what she just had her 76th birthday with one kidney, and has I think made a decision that she was going to help as many people as she can with transformation, and how much our mind and our thoughts create our reality, whether it's sickness, whether it's, financial, like it's an inside out job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Denise,
it's, go ahead, Kathy.
I dovetail on this because this is so powerful. Mary had a vision of, well, if we've had labels and if we've been told things about ourselves that, or I'll always be this way, or I'll never be able to, and everybody else can, but I can't, and nobody believes in me. When we ingest that and allow that to become our identity, just like you were talking about, then we are stopping. That we are actually creating strengthening those neural pathways, and those neurons, we're creating more of those. And so the science proves that when we change the direction of the way we think, when we start to create new neural pathways, there's new neurons and new connectors being, the gray matter is changing in our brain. So if I believe that I cannot change and everything is against me, I will stay in all these negative patterns for the rest of my life, and it'll just be the same stuff, different day. But like every one of us that has decided, and it comes from a decision, and this is one thing that we all three learned at the very beginning. A decision is deciding that it's possible, but a decision does nothing if there's not accompany action. So it's the actions that I take after I decide, you know what, if Suzanne can do this and start to really live at a different level than she's known in the past, because she's reached out and she's decided that she's not staying the same, or that other people don't dictate what her future or who she is, I can too. And if you had one decision, that's what Denise and if somebody else can do this, if there's one other person on the planet that can do this, I can too. It's just this creating these new neural pathways. It's science, and it is over time, and it is with the proper tools and the proper help, and the decision. That's not my story. That's what happened with me. I got extremely sick because of all the stress and anxiety and everything. And the doctor told me I had 2 autoimmune diseases and I'd get 2 or 3 more. And that's what women your age do. And And it was because of all the stress, and my thinking about my circumstances was what was creating my reality. And when that doctor told me that I was going to be trapped in my body for the rest of my life, I said, thank you for sharing, but that's not how my story ends. And from that one decision, that's not how my story ends. From that one decision, if one other person can come out of this, I can too. So if one other person who's been labeled autistic, on the spectrum, neurodivergent, whatever label, and thank God that back in that day, Thomas Edison really didn't have that privilege of being, safe in his label. Oh, poor pitiful me, I'm this, da da da. He didn't have that. He had a mother who thought he was a genius and proved it to be true. Well, if we take the labels off of us and we decide, no, that's not how my story ends, and we start embracing the gifting, the talents, the opportunities around us, like-minded people who are moving forward, our story ends differently. And that's, people today, when I'm coaching and everything, it's kind of funny that people today will say to me, I just love your energy. When one of my autoimmune diseases was a thyroid issue that just drained me completely. And it's so, if you don't understand, if what we say doesn't make a whole lot of sense, just know this: there's science that says your brain matter can change if you have the right, and you have the right things going in, you're going to have different coming out. And so, yeah, it's so powerful. We are so awesome.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. If I can even put that into a visual, because we are visual describers. Imagine yourself. You're either in this refrigerator box saying, I'm stuck. I'm stuck. I can't get out. And then you say, whoa, I have to get out of this. I'm not meant to live in this box. Or in my case, I was in armor. I had armor from head to toe. No one's going to hurt me anymore. No one's going to hurt me. And I said, I'm not finding what I need here at home. I'm not finding what I need to nourish me emotionally or to help me thrive. I'm going somewhere else. So I found this organization by listening first to a podcast of Mary, and it sparked something in me. Sometimes it just takes someone in your environment, not necessarily your family, but someone in your environment saying just the right thing. And if you're aware and you're listening to what clues there are out there, I found a podcast, and that podcast led me to reading a book, and the book led me to calling a telephone number. Sometimes, as we all know right here, you have to be willing to be uncomfortable in the interest of growth. Do you think that it was easier to pick up the phone and call a number I'd never heard of? With all the things that were around me saying, stay close to home, it's safe. Stay close to home, it's safe. That was inside the box or inside the armor I was wearing. Stay close to home, listen to what we say, follow what we say, and you'll be fine. That's not necessarily true if they don't want to nurture you. So I found this organization, and when I went to it on the very first day in October of 2018, I felt like I was breaking free of that armor. What an amazing feeling to walk into a room where I was accepted as a wonderful woman. I didn't have to be wearing the I am autistic tag. I didn't walk around saying that. In fact, I didn't even know I was yet. I just knew I was hurt and pained by the original situation I was in. You too can break out of your refrigerator box because so often we get put into this box and told, don't move, follow our rules, stick to conformity, stay the line. This is the way your family does it. Stay with us. You're not stuck there. You're not stuck there. And what if Nancy Edison had said, don't know what to tell you, kid. I'm stuck teaching you now. That's not the way she did it. So Thomas Edison fortunately did not have to go and find another organization. He had it built in at home. And I want to thank Nancy Edison from this day forward for believing in him. You just need one people to believe in me. Right now, I have two. And I've had this podcast going since January 2024. So think of all the guests I've had that have come on and have said, yes, I will come support your work. What if someone said, you're stuck, girl. Do it yourself. No, I had rocket boosters, 1, 2, right here today. But I've had so many that have come before them, and so many will come after them. And I'm here for you. The Aspie Bridge Facebook page is filled with all these wonderful people that I want you to come and enjoy their work beyond just this podcast. Yes, listen to this podcast over and over again if it helps you to remind you that you are the genius. You don't have to stay stuck here. I'm here on the bridge holding my torch saying, come with me. Kathy and Denise are on the top of the bridge saying, yes, come. All the others are saying that too. We're not fixing you. We're welcoming you. Ladies, do you have any final words that you'd like to add in as we close up today?
Denise?
I'm just, thank you so much, Suzanne, for inviting me to speak today and be a part of this amazing group and your podcast. And anyone who's listening, I hope that they can take this information and reach out to you and really just work with you and create their dreams.
Yes, yes. And I guess I would just say, true harmony comes when we recognize that there's no single way of being, and we're just different.
Yes. Here's the thing. You can stay where you are. No one's forcing you, and we're not going to come get you. You have to take that moment to step out of your comfort zone and approach the bridge. And whether you work with me as a life coach who understands your languaging, who understands how to get you across this bridge, or you say, what I really need is someone who understands medicine a little bit better. I can call on Denise. Or maybe you need someone who really just has your back. That would be Kathy. I'm going to connect you with everybody, but you do have to make the first step. I'm not coming into the forest to get you. And that's where action comes in. Now, before you get the confidence, or while you're building that confidence, don't ever stop living your passions. If you don't know your passions, I can help you find your passions. That's the other part of my gift, is I'm an enrichment coach. I can help you find that part of you that's hidden underneath the armor, inside the box, wherever you think it's hidden, that you protect it from society because you don't think you're good enough to give it. You are good enough. And we are your chosen family now. We're the ones that will help you go forward onto this bridge. You're not stuck with people who hurt you. You're not stuck with people who have problems of their own and don't know how to have the awareness to help you anymore. You're growing. You're evolving. And that's how I'd like to end today. Ladies, is there one more thing you'd like to add, or should we say goodbye for now?
I think we're complete. It's been beautiful. Thank you so much, and much love to everyone.
Thank you so much. And I hope you will come back next week for the Aspie Bridge, when we're going to start to evolve into how to find that family when you're feeling stuck, how to look for that Nancy Edison in your life that will become your rocket boosters. There are a couple of us here saying that you're not stuck with the same family. If your family is troubling you, hurting your heart, you're not stuck there. Please come the next 2 weeks as we start to unfold how to find the chosen mother, how to find your Nancy Edison, your rocket booster. Maybe it's not Nancy Edison. Maybe it's another gentleman that you need. It doesn't matter who you need, but you know who you need. And we'll help you find those people to make your life even better. And we'll say goodbye for now, and I hope you'll see you next week.